Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. Just wanted to say thank you so much for your support of my recent videos. Yesterday alone, I got over 100,000 views. So crazy shit happens when I actually upload and am not a lazy shit. But I will say that this news cycle hasn't hurt either, obviously, with the big news coming out with the Spider-Man film dropping. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on the trailer, which is now officially dropped in HD, and why I am so excited for this movie. Because as many of you know, I've been an outspoken critic of Phase 4 of the MCU. I love the MCU, big Marvel fan, but MCU Phase 4 to me has seemed very weak. I'm not excited for many of the movies coming out in the next couple of years. I think on the TV side, totally different question. Many of you have pointed that out. That's a very valid and fair note that on the TV side, they've actually been doing great, with exceptions, but broadly speaking, they've been doing a really good job. But on the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe side of things, I don't think that Phase 4 is looking particularly strong, with a few notable exceptions. And Spider-Man Far From Home is the most, No Way Home, rather, sorry, Far From Home. No Way Home is the most notable exception to this. And let me explain why I think that. And it honestly goes back to something I've said many times before, and which is my biggest critique of the superhero genre in film and entertainment. And that is that I find too many superhero movies to be too predictable. I like thriller movies personally. I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I like Chris Nolan. I like people where I watch the movie and I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the movie. And I often find, too often, just by the nature of superhero stories, that they're too predictable. That at the end of the movie, I know what's going to happen. And even though I'm not saying that at the end of the movie, I'm not going to assume that Peter Parker wins and it ends happily ever after or whatever. But what I will say about going into this movie is I honestly have no fucking clue what's going to happen. Like, they're bringing back villains from a 2002 movie, like Norman Osborn from 2002 is showing up. Like, what? Yeah, and then they're going to have all these different Spider-Man. I mean, literally the whole, like, many of the plot beats were posted on Reddit, and now that's basically happening. And in those Reddit leaks, I'm not going to get into too many details beyond what we already know, but it basically involves what we see in the trailer. Like, people from different universes and time travel and entering the multiverse. And Peter now actually has a real relationship with MJ, which we've been waiting on for 3 goddamn movies. I don't know where that was the first 2, but here we are. I mean, it happened at the end of in the third act of the second movie, but to include MJ and then not have Peter and MJ date or really show any romantic interest at all in the first movie and not until the second half of the second movie is a very weird creative decision. There are a number of other weird creative decisions that they've made in this trilogy. For instance, Peter Parker is more OP than fucking Batman with his technology and equipment. The dude literally has a spider suit that turns on and covers his body in 0.2 seconds with the press of a button, as we see at the end of the trailer. So there are things about it that I'm not a huge fan of. It goes without saying. But here's the one thing I will say. I don't know what's going to happen in the movie. And I'm excited to sit my ass down in the seat when the movie comes out and watch the movie. Because I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to incorporate these characters. How are they going to include Tobey Maguire? Are they going to do that? I'm pretty sure they are, but how are they going to do that? How are they going to include Jamie Foxx's Electro alongside Doc Ock from the 2005 movie and Norman Osborn, Green Goblin from the 2002 movie? I mean, that's just crazy. But they're doing that. They're taking that extra step. And I want to see this in Flashpoint as well, by the way. But the main thing that I commend them for, and the main reason I'm so excited for the movie, is because I think they're taking bold and creative risks. And we're at the stage in the genre where basically every movie that comes out, it has to wow us. It has to do something different, because we've seen so many standalone superhero solo movies. And that's why when I see Black Canary announced, or a Peacemaker TV show, or whatever, that's two examples on the DC side, but there are a number I could cite on the Marvel side of movies where I hear the announcement and I'm like, okay, it's not that I'm not excited, it's just that I'm not excited. Like, I don't understand why I should be hyped to see this, right? In this movie, you can't say that for this movie. Like, they've done a lot of work to make you hyped. If you're not hyped for this, you're probably not a Spider-Man fan. Now, with a couple of caveats and exceptions, okay? There are people who are such hardcore Spider-Man fans, which I would say, like, Evan Flark would be an example of this, right? He's such a hardcore Spider-Man fan that something like this would be an affront almost on his life. Like, I don't know. I can kind of understand that. Like, if there was a Batman live action movie and it incorporated all these other villains, I would almost feel like it was like a troll. And to me, as somebody that is a Spider-Man fan, but not as fervent as one as Evan, by no means am I saying Evan's not a real Spider-Man fan. Who am I to fucking tell Evan Falarka, of all people, he's not a Spider-Man fan? He most obviously is a gigantic Spider-Man fan, the biggest Spider-Man fan I know, by far and away. Are there people out there that, I mean, I'm not saying it's a competition here, but you get my point. Like, you can disagree with Evan's opinions. It's self-evident that he is a huge Spider-Man fan and very passionate about the characters, and that can almost make you so passionate about something to the point that it can give you the proclivity to be more judgmental over things than other people. And I experience this all the time with Batman Arkham in particular. Like, I'm much more critical of Batman Arkham than the average person would be because I'm a huge fan of it. I'm much more critical than a number of different properties that I'm a huge fan of. And you know, I am in many ways one of the biggest critics of WB Games, of course, even though I'm one of their biggest fans and what they do on the video game side. So I totally understand where people are coming from, and by no means am I saying you're like a fake Spider-Man fan or what have you. But the point being is that if you've enjoyed these movies, if you've enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, if you've enjoyed the Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, if you enjoyed Spider-Man 3, you're kind of weird, but it's also kind of a cool movie. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. What are they going to do, right? Like, there's so many different directions and ways they could take it, and that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the unknown, about how I really don't know how the movie's going to play out. I don't know how the characters are going to be incorporated and sort of placed in conversation with one another. I don't know the dynamics between these characters, which, by the way, let's keep in mind that in the original Spider-Man trilogy, we have never seen Doc Ock and Green Goblin interact with one another, not to my knowledge. And if there is, it's a very limited scene, but I don't think there is, because obviously Doc Ock was in the second film and the Green Goblin was in the first film. And they both die in both films. Green Goblin dies in the first film. Doc Ock dies in the second film. Spoilers, if you're 16 years late, it's kind of your fault. Did I say Green Goblin dies? I meant Doc Ock dies in the second film. Green Goblin dies in the first film. But anyway, you know, we're going to get to see these characters interact for the very first time. I can understand how, to a hardcore Spider-Man fan, that could be almost tacky in a sense. It's almost like it ruins the original in a certain sense. And I understand that. I totally get where people are coming from. That's just not my perspective. My perspective is, I'm fucking excited to see what happens. I just want to see what they're going to do. This is crazy. Like, this has never been done. You're not going to see this in the Batman. You're not going to see this in, even in Avengers Endgame. They didn't do anything quite like this, where you're talking about different versions of the same character. And obviously this comes off of the success of Into the Spider-Verse, the animated film. And incorporating that in live action, we just have more of a connection to the live action renditions of these characters, of Doc Ock, of Green Goblin, of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and all of this. Even Jamie Foxx Electro, to some extent. Frankly, I just can't wait to see what they do. I can't wait to see the movie. This is my most anticipated comic book film of this year. My most anticipated comic book film of 2022 will be The Batman, even though I have my gripes with that movie. But frankly, I'm not going to say that. No, I've already said, I'm not going to edit this video, so I already have to say it. But I'm kind of almost more excited for this movie than The Batman, because to me, The Batman is so clearly just sort of basically Matt Reeves' take on Batman Begins or The Long Halloween. It's something I've seen a lot. I'm sure he'll do interesting things with it, but I'm also frankly just sick and tired of this bullshit where every comic book character has to be in the Batman universe, and live action Batman has to be like so photorealistic and real. Chris Nolan is great. I love the Chris Nolan trilogy. This is a separate rant for another day. I'm about to end this video. But I'm so sick of seeing, like, why can't we just have the Riddler? Why does he have to be wearing all black and not even look like the Riddler? Like, if you're going to do the Riddler, give him the fucking top hat and make him the Riddler. He's in a green suit. I'm so sick of this BS that Hollywood basically inflicts onto the comic books, where they have to water down the comic books and make them not like the comic books. I'm sorry, if you're going to include the Riddler, include the Riddler. Do him the right way. If you're going to include the Penguin, he has to look like the Penguin. He can't be I'm sorry, but it is the way it is. At least Catwoman looks photorealistic to her comic book counterpart. But I'm excited for the movie, obviously, but The point being, I'm honestly really excited to see what they do with this Spider-Man film, and I think they're going to send this trilogy out with a bang. I've had my gripes with it. Pretty much everybody has. I haven't seen anybody that's like, everything about this trilogy is perfect from Watts, but I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at on this. By the way, I just realized this commentary ended up being 10 minutes. I promise I did not try to get it to 10 minutes. Also, YouTube changed it, so now you get extra like ad revenue at 8 minutes. So if I was really trying to do that, I'd end the video at like 8 minutes and 2 seconds. So, okay, just so we know here, I'm not one of those YouTubers that just like, okay, it's been 10 minutes, time to go. No, but thank you guys for tuning in. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. My name is Slickmoff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.